Okay. That looks good. That looks good. I tried to put music in the stream a second ago, but that did not go very well. I have to do some more testing before I'm able to actually do something like that, but it's cool. Let's go and maximize that. Okay. I think that looks good. I think that looks good. I think everything like that looks good. Let me turn this fan on because it is hot. It is hot. It is hot. Too loud. There we go. Right behind the mic there. So, oh, actually, it needs to be over here. Sorry, this takes a second. There we go. Okay. Hi, how you doing? How you be? Top to the AB, and welcome to another episode of I don't know what I want to call it. I think I want to call it Top Talks Tech, but it's kind of hard to say. But that's what it is. It's basically our show, podcasty support show where we troubleshoot some of your finest issues of today, and try to grow and help as many people as humanly possible, and maybe talk about a few topics here and there. And yeah, we have a lot planned today. I'm not sure how long it's going to go, but it kind of depends. But we have a lot of groups, we have a lot of topics, and yeah, I hope everybody had a good day at work. Just to give everybody idea of the format, we essentially talk about a few topics, and then we kind of get into the troubleshooting, and we kind of have in between the troubleshooting, we have breaks to answer questions and stuff like that. So if you do have a question, you can always ask in the chat. I would love to help. And with that, we can probably get started here. Let me just get something to drink. Oh yeah, that's the stuff. Okay, let's get to work here. Okay, so this is kind of a two-parter here, topic that I kind of want to discuss, and it starts kind of with this. So AMD Ryzen 9 7900, as well as the Ryzen 7 7700 and the Ryzen 5 7600 is scheduled to be released here pretty soon. And it was talking about how Zen 4 gets more affordable, and they were talking about the 7900 specifically, and basically how it is essentially 65 watt TDP with an 88 watt precision boost overdrive. So basically it overclocks to around 88 watts, which that varies depending on what kind of coolers you can use and stuff like that. But it kind of got me thinking, like when you look at this, like the 7700, the 65 watt to 88, or something like 7700 and the 7900 going that high for $400. And then when you look like the A's, the Acer, the Acer, Asus, and Acer, Asus, and then the Razer laptops, a lot of them are switching to like these 18-inch laptops. Like if you look at Razer.com, they now are getting ready to release, which I think is one of their biggest laptops they've ever had, is the Razer 18, which is literally an 18-inch blade. And I was just thinking, like, whenever you go down here and you start looking at the specs and everything, it's like, this guy is so big, it can no longer fit in cases. Like, it's freaking huge. And it's like, okay, well, I mean, you can't fit it in like backpacks or anything like that because it's bigger than the size of most backpacks. And it got me thinking, it's like, okay, well, if I compare that to the size of my traveling PC, it starts to make me wonder. Because it's like, okay, well, you can build a rig with something like this with a 7900 and probably get the similar performance to that of the Razer laptops. And the Razer laptops, as well as any of these other 18-inch gaming laptops, are going to be coming in at, $4,000, $3,000, somewhere in that area, give or take, specifications. And it makes you kind of wonder if, at this particular size, if you compare that to that of, a portable desktop, I think you're kind of getting the exact same deal. The only difference is the monitor doesn't attach to the actual chassis. You just kind of take it with you. So in this episode of what is it, Tech Tuesday? That was the word I was looking for. We'll be talking about my my portable rig that I currently have set up here, and let me move over and show you guys exactly how that works here. So do that, and then do that, and you guys should be able to see me. Yes. Okay, cool. Now let me do something real quick here. Let me just move this over here so I can actually see. Oh, there we go. There we go. There we go. Okay. Oops, sorry. Alrighty. do that and then take this off because that is ridiculous. How do I take this off? Good God, what is going on with this? Oh, I can't. I can't really? Oh, crap. Okay, well, here, we'll just do it this way. Okay, that's just too much. That is just too much. Okay, we'll just do it this way. Do it that way and then go up. There we go. So we'll go up with it. Yeah, the power of desks that can go up. So now let me slide up here. There we go. Oh, no. Okay, any day now. Any day now. Okay, there we go. We'll just leave it at that because that's actually pretty good. All right, so when we look at, you know, the idea of a portable gaming laptop, so this is the one that I'm currently utilizing as of right now. And this is going to be the Dan Case A4 SFX. And mine is it's a little bit different because I kind of built it. So when I bought this guy, or when I was looking at building this guy, the reason why I built it this way, it has absolutely nothing to do with the actual case itself. It has everything to do with the case that you can still buy for this guy. So we have a Corsair SF750. This right here is a custom cable for the 24 pin. So basically just kind of goes directly from the power supply to the 24 pin. It is very, 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 very small. It was actually meant for whenever I had the Asetek 645 LT with the water cooling, the liquid cooling AIO, which actually sits right here in this area right here. But because I don't have that anymore, I now have a lot more space, so I don't necessarily need this cable anymore. But it has 32 gigs of RAM, and then this right here for the Noctua L9A Chromax, I actually have the fan duct to line up with the case so that it creates a nice little funnel and then pushes air onto the motherboard. And basically we have two Noctua 92mm fans underneath. And then we have a riser that goes into the back. So it has a 1TB NVMe on this side, and I think it has like a 2 on the back. No, I'm sorry. It has a 2 and a 2. So it's two 2TB NVMe's on this guy. And then we flip it over here. And then the reason why I ended up having to take out the AIO on this guy is because of this guy. This is the RTX 3090 XC3, and you can see it right there, the 3090 XC3. And the problem this guy has is it fits perfectly in this case here. It's just that whenever you put it in here and you line it up against these screws here, is that it wants to come out a little bit, so it like bows itself out. And when you do that, this particular fan here always gets caught on the outer part of the case. And when you had the liquid cooler actually lifted the card up, which made it even harder for the case to actually close, which was a big problem. So if you ever want to build something like this and you do want to go with a 3090, I definitely recommend probably not going with the Asus 645 LT. I don't care what it says in the manual that it works. It does work. It's just that it's very, very cumbersome. And compared to the air cooler of this guy here with the duct, it is, you know, it's better, but it's only like maybe about 7 or 8 degrees. It cannot handle a 7900X, 7950X in eco mode, so don't even try. But this is a 3900X in eco mode, which is still a very, very hot card, but it handles that one pretty well. It doesn't really get higher than, like, let's say about 85, 86. It usually does pretty well, but that's under load. That's under full load. Outside of that, it's somewhere around like 60 something or 50, 60 something. So it's usually pretty quiet. Whatever temperature, I guess the best way to say it is whatever temperature this guy is at, this guy is at. so if you play in a video game and this guy gets to 86, well then this guy is also 86 or 85 or somewhere in that area. They vary by 2 degrees. But the thing with this guy is the case that you get for it. So like if we want to turn this guy around and compare it, let me grab a phone or something. Let me see if I can find something to compare it to. Okay, we can compare it to this lens. No, you can't tell that. Let me see. I was trying to see if I can find something to compare it to. Oh, here we go, pocket knife. Okay, so this is a pocket knife, and that's the case. So give you an idea of how big it is. It's a pretty decent sized chassis, but what's so cool about this guy is what you can do with it. So this case is the reason why I bought it, because this case here is literally a perfect fit. So if we zoom out a little bit so you guys can see that, and me pick this guy up here. This case fits it like a glove, like an absolute glove. You see that? You see how good that is? Somebody please help me. Like this right here is just so good and so clean, and you can just zip it up and take it with you, right? So, and also it has room for your monitor back here. Now, the only thing about that is if you have a monitor, then it's a little bit difficult, like because mine is like huge. So it kind of sticks out a little bit, but it has room for a monitor. But this guy here is just so nice and so neat with the case that I wanted to make it my main rig. But its problem is its heat generation. Like you can't use it with like a 7950X. I don't care what eco you put it in. It's a little bit too hot. And it wasn't able to get rid of that heat dissipation very well when I had the Asetek in there. So there's a possibility of upgrading it. And I was thinking about upgrading it to that Ryzen 7700 that we just saw there. I'm thinking that that may actually be pretty good for this kind of a setup and running the Ryzen 7700. Plus that 7700 has a lower TDP than the 3900X, which is a 125 watt. So we maybe can bring it down with the 7700 and actually get the full utilization of that particular CPU without having to eco mode it. And I think that would be something that would actually be pretty interesting, because you can essentially get that 12 core, 24 thread 7700X at 85 watt, and then, or I'm sorry, at 65 watt, and then 88 overclocked with precision boost overdrive, and let that be your CPU over what this guy is, which is the 3900X. And I was like, man, that'd be a pretty decent build. But at the same time, I kind of like the idea of having a portable all-in-one case. But when the laptops are so big these days, you can't even put them in backpacks. So like, even if you look like, for example, this backpack here, so we'll just move this over to the side here. As we talk about backpacks, this guy here, which is the Wander Provoke, this guy here can actually fit, this guy here can actually fit the Dan Case A4 SFX. Even though it wasn't meant to, it most definitely can, with a keyboard on the side here. So if you look, it can actually fit it. You just kind of have to shimmy it in there. You can even take the keyboard out and then put it in, and then put the keyboard in after it. So you can go like this, essentially. If you can stop shaking my desk, it'll be very appreciative. Okay. 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 Okay, 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 okay. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. So essentially this guy here can even fit inside of this case here. And what's good about this case is that it has room right here for your actual monitor. So if you want to take your portable monitor with you and put it in one bag, you can. So essentially we'll go here. And now, oops, sorry. And now you have the monitor inside of the actual case here, and we can actually see, y'all might be able to see that. So yeah, there we go. So you got the actual monitor in the actual pouch here. You can also put like an iPad here for a second monitor, and you'll be able to close this guy up and carry it. So now we have situations going where, move back to the chat. Okay, so now, we have situations going where we have full-size ITX cases that can fit in backpacks, and then you have laptops that cannot. And just think about how crazy that is. So the reason why people buy laptops is because they want their laptops to, take with them and be portable and all that kind of stuff. But nowadays, it's kind of hard to find a laptop that is a gaming-centric laptop that can actually fit in a backpack. But then you have many ITX cases that can fit in the backpack, no problem. So I always thought that was kind of one of the most interesting things ever, to see that we have backpacks now that can actually handle ITX cases, but we have laptops that cannot. So I just wanted to make that point. That was just something I always thought that was just kind of interesting, that we may have to take a look at one of these days. But with all that being said here, without any further ado here, I think we can go ahead and get everything started here. So let me just move this guy back so I can see. Okay, and let's get to work here. Alrighty. So let's go ahead and get started. Oh, how do you like the board cube? Well, that guy is interesting. It's like I don't know, the Matrix or something. Wow. Is there a computer in there? Like, is there a place to plug in like a USB port or something? Oh, it is. Okay. Okay. So an r/computers. That's pretty sweet though. I would love a case like that that's just made out of Legos, and you can have like a full size rig in there. But it would probably be so heavy and hard to carry. But man, is it beautiful. That's actually pretty sweet though. I'm not even gonna lie. That's pretty sweet. There's comments on it. Why can't I see the comments? That's weird. Okay, but whatever. How do you like the Borg CPU or a Borg cube? It's nice. It looks like it may take me to their leader, but whatever. All righty, let's go ahead and get started here. I thought that was kind of interesting, man, because I was like, okay, well, as like that was one of the reasons why, like, for example, the what was it called? Um Legion. The Legion 7i, like just for example, Legion 7i. Like if we look at some of these laptops, man, like if you look at the images and how big they are, it's really that width. And or I guess it'll be length in this case, or yeah, maybe length. But the dimension, the long end, essentially it's so long that it takes it outside of the actual dimensions of the actual slots for actual laptops. So it's so long, and now you can't even put it in backpacks, so you got to find particular backpacks that'll fit it, and it becomes very, very cumbersome, especially if you're kind of attached to one particular backpack, and that's one of the reasons why I never really liked the Legion. That was really one of the reasons why I liked the Razor, because even the Razor, it always had that smaller form factor, and the only problem is it's a sauna, so you kind of have to take something to elevate it off the ground. But and this one is pretty much no different. All laptops pretty much want to be elevated off the ground, but that length, man, that length kills me, man, because you can't even put it in a backpack. So what's the point of traveling when you can't even fit it in your backpack? Okay, okay, I'm getting off my rant here, and we're gonna go ahead and get to work. All right, so let's go ahead and go with the first one here. I don't know if I think I shuffled them, but I could be wrong. So if we get like a string of oh god, so no, this is gonna be new. So if we get a string of things that are repeats, then you know what's up. But let me go ahead and get something to drink, and we can get popping here. Okay, got my drink here. Okay, that's good stuff. Okay, give me 1 second here. Okay. This is calm as a cucumber. Calm writes, X might have hacked my phone. Hacked is a strong word, but I'm worried he might have had too much access to all of my belongings. I would put nothing, especially mental torment, in a slick way to keep track of me behind him, especially since when I would occasionally go out with friends, he would just so happen to casually bump into me walking by the place next door. We are engaged, so I trusted him fully with all the passwords to phone, iCloud, and physical phone itself, phone number, password manager, etc. were shared and have since been changed. However, he had my phone for hours plugged into his computer, downloaded audiobooks for me. I always thought this process took way too long. Is there a way to make sure nothing was installed that I might not be able to locate, or something of sort? I really just want the peace of mind that this individual has no access to me whatsoever. I've seen nothing unusual pop up on my phone. Even when we were together, there was nothing to make me suspect. But again, you never know. And considering the psychological abuse, I assume this is the tactic he would use. Secondary, deniable. You get the idea. I hate reading these kind of comments because it's not like the person's there to defend themselves, and so I'm just sitting here reading it out loud to a bunch of people, and the man's not even there to defend himself, or the woman, and it doesn't really matter. It's just that other person's not there to defend himself, and I'm just sitting here reading and like it's just silly. But in any event, well, I don't think there is anything anyone can say that would make you feel safer, even if we told you everything was fine. But we can start like this. What kind of phone do you have? Is it an iPhone? He may have you registered on the Find My iPhone app. So you may want to get that looked into. Outside of that, I would just say reset the phone and reset the phone and let me think about that. Reset the phone and re-download everything from an iCloud backup that was before you two met. Yeah, we'll say it like that. If it's an Android, then I still should say reset it. If Android, then I would just say reset it once you move your pictures and other files off to another computer. We'll say it like that. So yeah, it really kind of depends on if he has a Mac or a PC. Are there other ways that he can follow you on software? There's a possibility, but then for anyone to know every single one is very unlikely. So the best way to handle this is if it's an Apple device, then you want to make sure that it's not on Find My Phone, because even if you reset it, it'll still show up on Find My Phone because you'd have the same phone number, and so it shouldn't change because of that. Now, no, I think you said you had changed you changed your passwords, but I don't know if you actually changed your phone number. But in this case here, it's a possibility that Find My Phone may still have you. That's the reason why I'm saying register your phone with Find My Phone to stop him from registering your phone in Find My Phone. So go with that, as well as do a reset on all of your settings. And that's probably the only thing that will give you a peace of mind. I generally like, whenever we're talking about situations like this and we're talking about people that are, worried about something happening with their cell phone or just being hacked or anything like that, you always want to be as cautious as humanly possible. And the only way to be as cautious is to straight up go to a wipe, because you may say, this is probably fine, or you may say, oh yeah, I wouldn't worry about it too much, but you're not her, you're not him, you're not the person that's currently being threatened. So because of that, you don't want to take any side, you don't want to get into it, you don't want to soothe anybody, you don't want to take a bullet for nobody. It's just, you want to mind your business. That's the best way to do it. But at the same time, you want to try your best to give them closure without trying to make any shortcuts for brevity. So that's why I always say, like, when you're dealing with malware or somebody's sense of peace, just go ahead and wipe. Just go ahead and wipe, because there was nothing that anybody is going to tell this person that's going to make them feel comfortable. You see what I'm saying? So the only thing that will make them feel comfortable if they just straight up wipe it. So if you straight up wipe it, there is no application that'll survive that. You see what I'm saying? And especially if you go from an iCloud backup from 4 years ago or a year ago or 2 years ago that he doesn't have, or something along those lines, then you may actually be okay. So that's the reason why I say it like that, is to go ahead and just wipe it. And if you do have a backup that is back when they were together, then you may want to not even use it, and then just install everything the normal way, like just copying and pasting your pictures over and stuff like that, or just getting them from the iCloud. And the Android, on the other hand, just wipe it. I would just wipe it, move all your pictures over and your documents, and then just wipe the phone, just to be on the safe side. Of course, there are things that we could have done, like Malwarebytes and stuff like that, to troubleshoot it, but there's no point. Even if we told them to do Malwarebytes and they felt safe, they probably still wouldn't feel safe. You know what I mean? Because you can't control how a person feels about another situation. So even if you tell them don't worry about it, you don't want to be the person that's now responsible or on the hook in case anything does happen. You see what I'm saying? So be like, you always want to go just full tilt and erase everything. Just scorched earth with that one, because that's the only thing that's going to make this person feel better, even though their name is calm as a cucumber. So that's what I would say. Okay, yeah, he said the same thing. Yeah, pass from blah 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 blah. Okay, so everybody pretty much agrees, and he's in the exact same boat. Just kind of go for a full wipe is the only thing that you can say. Don't half-foot it. Don't be like, oh yeah, but you can try malware. Nah, you don't do that whenever somebody's worried about hacking, or somebody else is worried about another individual that they may have a restraining order against or something like that. You don't play those games. It's not your place to play. Alrighty. We already looked at the Borg cube. I don't know why it's here and there. That's kind of weird. Okay. Own count 842. Okay, cool. Alrighty. Own count writes, help setting up an Ashton AB701 home theater system. I was recently given an old, probably 10 plus year Googling it, oh, Googling it brings up what I figure must be newer versions of this model that totally look different. Ashton AB701 home theater system by a friend who has moved to another state. Okay. Ashton AB701. I'm not sure what that is. Images? Okay. Is it a boombox? Did he give you a boombox? I feel like it's a boombox. Okay, let's just assume. Okay, so they're just home theater speakers. Okay, I really wish you had a picture, but okay, I'll let it go. Images? Are you sure there's nobody with a picture? Okay. Okay, so it's a sound, sound bar and a subwoofer. Okay, there we go. There you go, Anthony. You gotta get it out there. From what I can tell, it is in decent condition. There is no obvious damage. The subwoofer, wow, the subwoofer, the subwoofer turns on and the buttons work. It was given to me with a bunch of cables tangled up in a box. I assume after untangling them, setup would be pretty self-explanatory. However, most of the cables have no adapter on the other end. Just bare wire, and I can't for the life of me figure out how to connect them. Heck, I don't even know if they're the right cables. You'll find pictures of the cables I have, just the ends as they are quite long, and the ports on the subwoofer and smaller speakers here. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to buy cables, but I don't know what kind I need. Any help would be appreciated. Okay. Oh, okay. So these, okay. Let me explain this to people. All right. So back in the day, okay, one that looks more like AB, so like red and blue, or red and white, or red and yellow. But these cables here that he's actually referring to, these are wires. These goes into the speakers. Basically, speakers had left and right channels, and you would actually have to plug these in, and then the speakers have clamps that'll clamp down on these guys. So it's basically meant for when you have like multiple speakers, or some of them actually take more than one channel. Like for example, if it's a 2 channel, it may have like 2 sets of these cords going into the actual sound bar, and then the subwoofer also has some as well. So that's what these are. So these cables are for going into, yeah, he's showing it right here. So basically the red and the black matches this and that, and then right here is where everything goes. So and then the speaker in and out from the front to center and back. So basically trying to give you a 5.1 surround sound kind of setup, but that's where you plug everything in at. And so yeah, let's see. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to buy some cables. Any help would be much appreciated. Um, okay. Well, I think they already talked about it. No, I think he's done. Okay, well, before I even talk about it, we can just read this part here. But what I was gonna say is, you probably should be okay just from looking at what he has. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I think I actually deleted my another video. That's okay. But yeah, just from looking at what he has, he looks to be okay, but I'm not exactly sure how many devices he actually has. He has this guy, and then he has the home actual theater system itself, and then he has the surround sound receiver here. But that's it. Like I don't see any of the other pictures. Like for example, I don't see any spare speakers, so left and right channel speakers or anything. So here I would say, just kind of plug everything in and then see how it sounds. You just plug the metal parts, the 2 wires, you just plug those into the actual surround sound in order to add the subwoofer and whatever other speakers you have to go with it, and that's pretty much it. And then you plug it in from the subwoofer to your television via the red and the black cable, or the red and yellow cable, or red and white cable, or whatever you have there. What did he say? The receiver in picture 3 of 4 is the brains of your surround system. You connect those bare wires to the red and white speaker connectors that you will loop around and then tighten. And we'll also have a few of the standard red and white audio connectors and pair ports. Yeah. Thanks for your reply. It might be a stupid question, but on the subwoofer, it says it's a receiver, specifically a 5.1 channel surround sound. There's a front view in the 4th picture. Yeah, but you don't have all that. What you have is a subwoofer that doubles as a receiver, the brains of your current speaker setup. It can connect up to 5 different speakers, point one, which is the subwoofer, of course. And if this was a different receiver without the built-in subwoofer, you would have an extra point to connect to the subwoofer. Sweet, thanks. So yeah, I think he's already answered it, so there's no point in us answering it. But you know, if you do have one of these older speaker subwoofer setups, that's essentially what you do. You just kind of plug them into these guys here. Well, not that these guys, but these guys. You wrap it around and then you tighten it. Okay, well, I said clamp down because that's the ones that I saw. So back in my day, they were clamps, but I've never seen one where you actually wrap it around. But yeah, wrap it around, clamp it down, whatever. It's the exact same situation. It really kind of just depends on whatever setup you currently get. But we'll go ahead and move on here. Cool. My small build 3D print files available. Linux sucks. That is that's an interesting build. I like how it's very small. It's really, really, really small actually, because that's a keyboard with the monitor. And of course, you know, he has all of his tabs and everything, and you can actually see the screen, even though it's super, super tiny. Oh, okay, that was it zoomed in. That's actually pretty sweet though, actually. I realized what I was gonna ask him. So, what operating system are you running? I'm pretty sure he's running Mac, you guys. Definitely sure he's running Mac OS. So yeah, kudos to him. That actually pretty cool. It almost looks like this top part here can actually close, which would be even cooler. So you can kind of take it at like a folding phone, but essentially it's a desktop. So kudos to him. That's pretty sweet. I wonder if it can play Crisis. And then okay, cool. So this is from Gunslung Legend, who writes work Gmail ID. Can my employer read the mails sent by my work Gmail ID? Work meaning the work profile section Gmail provides that's linked to your main email. What? Can my employer read the email sent by my work Gmail ID? The work profile section Gmail provides that's linked to your main email. If it is set to hit their business server, then there is a possibility it can't see it. For example, business at office a dot gmail dot mail that gmail.com or something, where office one is the name of the server the mail is being sent to. So there is these kind of situations where sometimes, well, it depends on the company, but you can essentially get an email that is essentially like the actual office dot whatever email company. So like you know, windows.hotmail.com or something like that, or hotmail.windows.com or something like that. So you can basically say if the business is, let's say, purple, it can be, you know, at purple.gmail.gov. You see what I'm saying? Or purple.gmail. something. So it can have the name of the actual server the mail is actually going to in the actual header of the email. So that's a possibility. To be their business server, then there's a possibility you can see it, for example, where Office One is the name of the server the mail is being sent to. But if it's public, well, no, I'll just say it like that. But outside of that, they may be able to see your traffic if you are on a work computer or within their environment. They may have the ability to decrypt their traffic is what I'm trying to get at. And if they can decrypt the traffic, then it's a possibility they'll be able to see those emails. That's the reason why I say it like that. I'm just trying to be as nice as I can put it. Outside of that, they may be able to see your traffic if you are on the work computer or within their environment. So I would recommend if you are trying to send email that is questionable, questionable to do so on your cell phone's data and not the company's. Hope, no, there's nothing. We'll just say it like that. So yeah, I mean, you know, it really kind of depends on the company. You know, well, I wouldn't say 9 times. There is a percentage of companies that have the ability to decrypt your traffic. And if they can decrypt your traffic, then there also is a possibility they can decrypt your mail traffic as well, especially if the server is them. So if it's going to one, like for example, Outlook used to do this. So basically, you would have an Outlook server, and everybody will send their information to the Outlook server, and the Outlook server will be the one that forwards everything on. Well, if you have the public certificate of the Outlook server, and everybody trusts the Outlook server, then you'll be able to see those emails without even having to decrypt the traffic. You'll just see them because they're on the Outlook server. So there's a possibility that you might be able to do so and see that information depending on if they do have a mail server. I guess that's probably the best way to say it. For example, if it is set to hit their business server, so if it can hit their mail server, then there's a possibility that they can see it. Now on top of that, even if it doesn't hit their mail server, if you're within their environment, there's a possibility that they may have some type of decryption set up where they can actually see your actual mail. So I rather not say that because I don't want to cast aspersions on whatever company that person works for. So it's better to just say, okay, well, in this situation, if you want to send some email that is questionable, and we'll just leave it at that, to go ahead and then switch your laptop to your phone's data instead of your company's data, and then send it that way. That way, there's no chance that they can do anything with it because it's going to a totally different location unless they're monitoring your actual screen with software, which is a possibility, but that's steep, man. They're doing that too. So that's what I would say on this one here. Yes, your employer has the ability to do many things with your email. One common area is to clone emails sent to addresses via their originating mail server, i.e. blah.com is emailed to blah.com and blah, 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 blah. Only use work email for work purposes. That's true too. So yeah, this is essentially what I was trying to say here is that if they have a mail server, I should probably not say business server. I should probably tell it what it is. Mail server. It probably didn't come to me when I first said it. For example, where Office One is the name of the server and the mail being sent to. Yeah. So essentially, if they have a mail server and they have everybody sending it to the mail server, then basically, yes, you absolutely can see that information. And it's not encrypted or anything because it's going to that particular mail server. Well, it's encrypted, but it's just the mail server can see it because you're sending it to the mail server and it's acting as the intermediary or proxy in between that mail path. So because of that, you should be able to actually look into that traffic right then and there, or you can actually see the traffic as it's decrypted across the network, but they probably won't tell you that unless you're in IT. So yeah, it's always just better just to use your phone. So if you have something that you want to send that's a little not for work purposes, then just pair your device with your personal phone, or just wait till you get home. That's probably the safest way to kind of go about it because you don't know. I mean, you may see somebody and you think that, oh yeah, I don't think they have a whole lot of tech, but then you'd be fooled and then you'd be fired. So, so I don't want you blaming me. So that's the reason why I'm saying, like, hey, just it's best to be safe than sorry. That's the best way to say it. Group 2, let's do this. Okay. That's pretty good, actually. Okay, Razor, we don't need you right now. Okay. This is from Own Accountant. Let me see. Let me make this a little bit bigger so I can actually see. Okay, there we go. This is from Own Accountant 6206. If I go on a school laptop to make an exam, there is no Wi-Fi on this laptop. Is there a way they can still watch what I'm doing to take an exam? To take an exam? Yes. Yes, they can. They can have the camera set to record. They can be passively recording the screen, etc. Stop cheating. Oh man, what did everybody else say? I'm not the only person that spoke on this. Where's everybody? What's going on? Did I lose frame rates? No, no, I did not. It just doesn't want to show. Okay, so it is me, even though it shows two. That's kind of weird. But yeah, yes, they can have the camera set to record. They can be passively recording the screen, etc. Stop cheating, LOL. Yeah, with this one here, yeah, you can't just go to a computer and then automatically assume, because I mean it's their school laptop, that they're not recording something. It's a possibility that they could definitely be recording something. So you always want to go to a computer with that assumption in mind. So don't be trying to send in something crazy or do something crazy on those computers, because they can just record and catch you. So yeah, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't risk it. And me trying to teach you what to look for is also not ideal either, because once they see the program has been turned off, then they're going to be pointing fingers anyway, and you've already logged in to actually get to that computer in the first place, so they're going to know who did it. So no, 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 no. This is the equivalent of a person asking for a pack of cigarettes and they're not the age, or a pack, or like a drink or something, and they're not the right age limit. You, as the person that's handing him that alcohol, need to check their license to make sure they're ready, or they're not really ready, because you can be in the army at 18, but you can't drink until you're 21. So not necessarily ready, but make sure that they're of age to actually be able to have alcohol in whatever state or jurisdiction that you belong to. Same thing here. You have to protect somebody from themselves, because yeah, you don't want to do that. You don't want to start looking up stuff and opening things up, especially on a computer that doesn't have access to the internet. They may be recording that whole screen. You just don't know. And I'm not about to be the one to get in trouble trying to tell you, yeah, it's girl, it's fine, or yeah, boy, it's fine. You can do whatever you want to, you powerful child, you, yay, power. And then you get caught, and now you're like, oh my God, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Like, I'm not about to play that game. Okay, Papega Dragon. Okay, cool. And this has a 0 too. Okay, cool. Papega Dragon writes, high RAM uses after game crash. So this is in Tarkov and Rust. Tech supporters, hey, that's my name. Oh my God, hey, how's it going? A few days ago, I bought a secondhand GPU. The GPU works well and runs most of my games without any problems. I upgraded my MSI G70 GTX Gen 970, I'm sorry, to an MSI 1080 GTX. Okay. After installing the new GPU, I used display driver uninstaller to get rid of the old drivers, right? I also turned the Windows Auto Driver Update option to avoid conflicting drivers, right? Okay. Using NVIDIA GeForce, I downloaded the new driver. To test out the GPU, I started up some games. The smaller games run really well. Tarkov started up nicely too, no problems in the main menu. Sadly, when I started loading the map, the game just crashes. In the game Rust, I was able to load the map and play, but whenever I wanted to change options, it crashes. It seems like whenever the game needs to use RAM, my PC starts to struggle. In Task Manager, the RAM bar was maxed out and the computer was acting real sluggish. Long story short, game needs to load stuff, crashes, and then my RAM gets maxed out. Personally, I thought it was a driver issue, but I'm in over my head. Did anyone here experience this problem before, and what is the best way to tackle it? I thought the best option would be buying a new M.2 SSD. No, which I would need in the future anyway. Why, with this SSD, I want to factory reset the PC and start over. Nah, once it loads into memory, it's usually okay. But if the drive is bad, yeah, but at the same time, you can swap out if you swap it out to the other graphics card, does that fix the issue? You see what I'm saying? And if it does, then we're only looking at the graphics card anyway. Well, we'll actually tell them that. Well, if we swap out the graphics card, does that fix the issue? No driver changes. They're not that far from each other anyway. No driver changes. Just swap cards. If this fixes the issue, we are looking at the card. Looking at the card. If it doesn't, we can look at other things like memory, etc. Yeah, all you gotta do is swap it out. I mean, he still has his other card. So if he still has his other card, then let's play. swap it out with the other card and keep the exact same graphics driver and see what's happening. So it doesn't really matter. Like if you have a 1080 and then you swap it out with a 970, I get that they're different, but 9 times out of 10, the driver will still be compatible with it. You know, it may hiccup a little bit, but it still will be relatively compatible with that particular graphics card, especially when they're so close like that. A 1080 and a 970 is not that far away from each other. So yeah, with that one here, I would say just go ahead and swap out the two cards, let it install the 970 instead, and let it boot up with the 970 and see if that makes a difference. If it does make a difference, then we're just looking at an issue with that particular 1080. If it doesn't make a difference, then we are looking at, you know, other things like memory, or I'll even entertain drive maybe for like 4 seconds, but we're really just looking at memory at that point, which means that we'll just run mem tests and stuff like that. But I'd rather just do this as a kind of what's the best way to say that, a feeling out question, and see what they say. But that's kind of how I would go with that on that one. Okay. Ooh, no more home office PC. Oh, that's good. Okay, so ooh, this one's kind of pretty. Let's see. Okay, that is really nice. I like the lights. Why? Oh, okay. So what an interesting case. So it's kind of an open case, but it's almost like it's kind of plasticky or fiberglass on the other side, which is kind of interesting. I'm not sure what case this is. Still, pretty nice build. That inline digital temp is stupid, and I want it. Oh my God! I just now noticed that. Look at that. That is pretty sick. Oh, that is so sick. That is so sick. That is so sick. That is so sick. Okay, yeah, that is pretty sweet. I didn't even notice that. That's probably the coolest thing in the whole case, if I'm being honest. That temp is the coolest thing in the entire case. Oh well. Links or it didn't happen. Yeah, that temperature cooler checker thingy is pretty sweet. Just found it on eBay because the delivery time from the manufacturer was absurdly long. It's a flow meter and conductivity meter. Oh my goodness, a flow meter and conductivity meter. Well, I can't even say it. So it's a Ryzen 9 5900X and a B550i Strix with a 3060 Ti Ghost, and this. Oh, it's a Sliger. Oh, I couldn't even tell. How would I not know that? I guess because it's so zoomed in, I can't really tell. Images. Oh yeah, it's the Sliger. Yeah, okay. The really long one though, this guy. That actually is still pretty sweet though. Actually, that's actually really long. I wonder if that can fit a 4090. Now that I'm thinking, oh no, I don't like that. Oh, that's the reason why I didn't get that. Okay, yeah, because the ventilation, it looks cool, but it really isn't. Because it's like I would rather have this on both sides where it's just a bunch of holes and then a giant 360mm radiator. That's actually pretty sweet. I kind of like that a little bit more because a 360mm radiator is perfect for the 7950X, but still pretty sweet. I like the build. Oh, I guess you put the graphics card on the other side. Yeah. Okay, so the graphics just kind of runs down. But if it can fit a 360mm radiator, it makes me wonder on that guy. We may have to look at that one. That's actually a pretty nice build. I love the Sliger. I miss the Sliger. Pour one out for its coffin because it's kind of, I can't use it anymore, but it's still pretty sweet. Everybody's just saying how much, give me price, how much. But yeah, overall pretty good. I like your build, the Loop 04. Alrighty, let's go ahead and hit up the next one here. All right, let's do this. All right, so this is from Windows Noworky. Windows Noworky. Okay, cool, whatever. All right, so he says Windows desktop background becomes black after being inactive for some time. Hi, I've experienced some issues lately whenever my PC runs in idle for some time or has been in sleep mode. I will come back to a desktop background that still works, but looks quite off. Other applications are also still fully functioning. The background will be replaced with a pure black screen. App icons will be invisible yet runnable. The taskbar sometimes looks fine, albeit with no apps, and other times looks quite off and pixelated. Here are some screenshots I took. I'm assuming this is either a Windows bug or perhaps a graphical or storage related hardware issue, yet I am not particularly sure. I'm using Windows 10 Pro with a 6700 XT, which is a pretty cool card. I don't experience any other issues on my PC besides those listed. Usually when my PC runs in idle for some time or has been asleep. Okay. Why does it keep showing me that stupid picture? It's making me annoyed. Okay, let me switch back to work. There we go. And then just kind of scroll down. But, huh? Is this what you're trying to show me? Is it just the black screen? Is that what you're talking about? That's your irked about? NASDAQ. I'm so confused. Like, what are you showing me? What operating? So is it Windows? Okay, yeah, it's Windows 10. I don't experience any other issues on my PC besides those listed. So basically, you're showing a pure black screen. The background will be replaced with a pure black screen. App icons will be invisible yet runnable. Memory. Yeah, so this looks like a memory issue. Can be GPU or CPU memory. How much memory does your PC have? How much memory does your PC have? And how much memory does your PC have? When you have the problem, press Control plus Alt plus Delete. Then go into Task Manager and see how much memory you are utilizing. If the memory is very high, then that is most likely your problem. May need to stop a few programs from running in the background. Let us know. Yeah, typically a black screen like that where it's just kind of this guy, where it's just showing you straight up a black screen. I thought he was talking about some type of tiling or pixelation, but he's not talking about that at all. He just gets a black screen and he can't see any of his images behind the black screen. That usually happens whenever something runs out of memory and it can't display the actual pictures, particularly video memory, actually. So, but we're going to start with actual physical memory, but it can be either or. But yeah, it's a possibility that it could be video memory. Let me just go ahead and just mention it. I was trying to debate on whether or not I wanted to actually say it because I wanted to make sure they did this stuff here. But also no. I was gonna say also, reseat the graphics card, but that's not really gonna help in this kind of a situation because if we're just having a memory issue, I mean, it's a possibility it can help, but it's highly unlikely because it just sounds like it's out of memory. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like it doesn't have enough a virtual memory to actually load all the images and stuff like that. So it's starting to freeze a little bit, which happens a lot, So yeah, I just don't think you have the memory. Even though this guy here may be okay because it has 12 gigs, but that's the reason why I went with the CPU memory instead. But I guess we'll find out. But more than likely, it's one of either or. You may have to update the driver as well in order to troubleshoot this issue, but we'll reach that when we get to it. We'll just start with the probing questions first, and then we'll move on once we get a reply back. So we'll play it that way. It's safer. I'm not about to type a paragraph and then he fixes it because he stopped a few programs from in his memory, or his memory went to 100% and he figured out the problem or whatever. So we'll just wait. Okay, that's from Windows Norworky. And let's go ahead and go to the next one here. All right, so Mr. Hoodie writes, black screen with blinking underscore PC boot. When I boot my PC up, I just get a black screen with a blinking white underscore in the top left-hand corner. I recently rebuilt my PC with all new parts. The only components I am reusing are the hard drives / SSDs, which will be the ones with the problems. I have tried getting into the BIOS to make sure that my M.2 is the boot drive, and it is. I have tried booting with only the essentials and taking everything else out of my USB connections. I have also tried using a USB drive with Windows installation media on it to reinstall Windows, and it's not working either. It just keeps sending me back to the same screen. Does anyone know what problem it is? Yeah, it doesn't sound like the Windows CD or Windows thumb drive nor the M.2 have a valid version of Windows, or another boot format is taking precedence. It's possible it wasn't saved. It's possible it wasn't saved, or something along those lines. But if it's blinking like that and it's just kind of showing a blinking, you can't really blame the graphics card at that point. You're really just looking at drive, really. Let me think if it can be anything else. Yeah, drive and something taking precedence, really. Also, can you boot into safe mode by pressing F8/F12 upon boot? If you can, then go to safe mode and see if the M.2 drive is seen there. Okay. So yeah, with this one here, you know, he's saying that he checked to make sure that it was the primary boot drive, but I start to wonder a little bit on that one, simply because that he's still having that issue, and so either A, that primary boot drive does not have a valid Windows installation, or B, it's not set to make that guy the primary. So, you know, it's either or. So let's say, you know, the guy doesn't have a valid version of Windows, or maybe it's errored out or is corrupted, then it's just going to skip to the next one until it gets to the point where it hits the networking, which is basically a boot based on the network information. So it probably gets to that, and then it just kind of freezes, which explains the blinking white cursor that you see. If you run into that kind of a situation, it just means that your boot priorities are either not right, or the drive itself doesn't have a version of Windows you can boot from. And then on top of that, whenever you had the thumb drive with Windows installed, you have to make sure that guy is also priority. So if that guy isn't priority, then it may be a problem, or you want to make sure that it's in a port that is being read. You should see that thumb drive inside of the boot options, and you want to make that guy primary by scooting it up to the top. That's what I would say for this, Mr. Hitty. Okay, group 2, not too bad. Not too bad. What time is it? 8 o'clock? That's not bad. That's not bad. Because we'll finish group 3 and 4 probably about 8:45, and then we'll hit up group 5 and 6. So yeah, about 9:15ish. We'll probably come back. We'll probably have to double back on ourselves, but it's not too bad. Okay. All right, let's do this. Group 3. Yay. Okay. And this is from Hopman 3000. Okay. Hopman writes, hard drive slow transfer. Okay, so he has a brand new Seagate 2TB hard disk drive, is experiencing trouble Windows 10 Pro first gen Surface Book. Oh, nice. I get a little while where I have 130 megabytes per second transfer speeds before it drops to maybe 2 megabytes per second average, between 100 kilobits per second and 10 megabytes per second. I have tried multiple times and this keeps happening. The drive is NFTS formatted, and I created a new 500 gig partition for the transfer. I already ran defragmentation and optimized, as well as check this, which said there was an error and then was fixed. Trying to back up my computer to the drive, and nothing seems to be helping. Any fixes would be appreciated. Well, I don't know if there's anything that you can do. Okay, so you know, we're talking about the original Surface Book, and we're essentially trying to do a backup to a hard drive that has a 500 gig partitioning. You're basically just trying to back it up there. I'm not so sure there is anything we can do. Surface Book is a bit long in the tooth, and so is the hard drive. For the speeds to be slowing down like that, you can try a different USB port, or better yet, plug it into a powered USB hub to see if that makes a difference. But I worry if I tell you to upgrade the USB drivers / Windows drivers, you may upgrade the device into oblivion. So it may be better to say, try a different port or a powered hub, and if that doesn't work, just let it run. You don't want to play with these guys. You don't want to play with them. Surfaces, Surface Books, Surface Pros, anything with a Surface in it, especially between first and like maybe 4th or 5th gen, you don't want to play with those guys, because as soon as you start telling somebody to upgrade drivers, you can basically make it so their pen doesn't work, or their camera doesn't work, or their trackpad doesn't work, or their screen touch sensitivity doesn't work. So you don't want to keep trying to tell somebody to upgrade these guys, because these guys can be very dangerous. So you don't want to play that game with these guys. So if we know we don't want to play that game and we don't want to try to go for the upgrade to try to see if that fixes his issues, so that's out of the equation. So now we're just looking at a hard drive, a old school hard disk drive, trying to connect to a Surface Book Gen 1. Okay, so this is about a 13-year-old, well, I would say about 13, I would say about 11-year-old case, right? Or maybe a little bit less, maybe about 9, because Surface Book didn't come out originally. So maybe an 8 or 9-year-old laptop. So it's a possibility that there may be some slowness there, or some degradation of the actual USB port. Hence why we told him to try a powered USB hub to see if that makes a difference. I'm thinking that he may be having some differentials in his USB, like his power is fluctuating, and so because of that, his hard drive may be affected, or it's just because it's trying to do a backup to a hard drive. You know, it can be either or. You know, sometimes it runs, sometimes it doesn't. It really kind of just depends. But with this one here, that's what I would try. I would try a different USB port, and I would try a powered USB hub. And if those two don't work, then I would leave it alone, because I don't want to update him and start breaking other stuff when all he has a problem with is patience. You know what I'm saying? Like, just let it do its backup, bro. You only gotta do it like once a month. So just let it go ahead and do its thing, even though it's gonna take forever, and you know, it may take a couple days. But at the same time, once you get it backed up, you can move on with your life. So that's kind of the way I look at it. I would rather him just let it run than him trying to troubleshoot it and start upgrading and break something else, because the laptop is very, very, very sensitive when it comes to its drivers. So Hopman, I hope that helped. So those surfaces, you want to all do them all like that. And that's not just them. It's any tablet-based Windows operating system. So that's going to be the ThinkPad X1 tablet, as well as any of the Surfaces, as well as any other tablet that you can think of, like X360, like the original ones, like any type of tablet that you can write on that, you know, maybe flips or folds or something along those lines, or is very flat and portable. Those guys you don't play with. Especially if they're older. You don't want to play with them, because as soon as you start trying to troubleshoot and start upgrading his stuff, you may break something and not even realize it. And now he can't use his pen because he was trying to fix his camera. You know, something stupid like that. So I would rather not upgrade those guys. That's probably the only situation. Let me think about that before I say it. Yeah. Outside of AMD, sometimes that is the only situation where I would say not to upgrade something. Generally, I would say upgrade is relatively fine, but the only times that you want to not do that is in that situation where we're talking about an older tablet based Windows operating system, or if we're talking about AMD, and that's just AMD in general. So either or. If we're talking about those two, sometimes it may not be the best idea to go for the upgrade, because the upgrade may cause more problems than it fixes with those guys, but only specifically those guys. With other situations, upgrades are usually okay, unless we're talking about the business sector. And if we're talking about the business sector, then you don't want to upgrade certain chassis, because it can make it so that the components within the chassis stop working. Okay, so that's with that, but it really kind of depends on what chassis we're talking about. Okay, on luck. I'm ready. Give me 1 second here. Okay, make sure y'all can hear me. Y'all can hear me fine. I always get nervous looking at them looking at them mic, just making sure everybody can hear me. All right, so this is from OnLuck. Enter BIOS from sorry, something came up over here, so I immediately looked over there. OnLuck, enter BIOS from operating system. Hey, all computer geeks, what you call me? Don't you dare call me outside of my name. I am Anthony. Geeks. Ugh. Oh my God, why would you call me that? Is there any app or software that allows you to access BIOS menus from operating system level? Should I further look into this, or is it absolutely impossible? Is there any app or software that allows you to access the BIOS menus from the operating system level? No, but you can boot into the operating system. But you can boot into the BIOS by changing your settings in the operating system. But typically, no, it doesn't, unless you move over to the commercial side, which we call ILOM. All right, I'll explain. All right, so on the residential side, no, you don't see that typically. From the actual operating system. Now there could be some application I don't know about, and that's also a possibility. But typically, when we're talking about the operating system itself, once you're in there, you can't actually just then open up something within BIOS, because BIOS is the underlying firmware on the actual operating system itself. So you can't really see that while the operating system is up and running. You have to boot into it and then go to BIOS. However, in the business sector, we have what's called ILOM, which is international. Is it international or integrated lights out management, which is basically a second computer that is controlling the actual chassis of the case and the actual boot of the chassis and the settings of the chassis, and allows you to remote into the computer regardless if the computer is up or down. So as long as it's plugged in, the ILOM can still run in the background. So like, let's say you're remote and you want to get into the chassis because it just crashed and now it's down. Well, the ILOM will actually still be up. So you can log into the ILOM and then remote into the actual chassis, boot it up. And then once it's actually booted up, you can go ahead and start logging in and stuff like that. So we call it integrated lights out management. I don't know what the I stands for anymore, but we call it ILOM. And that's essentially what you would have. You would have something that basically you can log into that will allow you to get into the BIOS regardless if Windows is up or not. So the operating system can be up, the operating system can be down. None of that changes. You still can get into ILOM. BIOS loads before OS gets initialized, and he's right. In the residential sector you can, but in the business sector you most definitely can. Because at that point we're talking about the actual chassis itself, and at that point you're essentially just logging into the chassis, not necessarily the operating system within the chassis, if that makes sense. Okay, OnLuck. That was an interesting one. Nobody's ever asked me that before. Well, at least not not in the residential space. All right, so this is from Based Derek. RTX 4090 with an MC Pro ITX 2.0. Okay, why don't you just call it a Mac? That looks exactly like a Mac. I'll believe it when I see it. Let me see this case here. Wow, it's actually kind of chunky. It reminds me of what's the name of that case? Well, it'll come to me. I can't remember. But I don't like its ventilation. It's not great. Like, okay, the front is pretty clean. And the side panel, I mean, it just looks like a Mac. It's pretty sweet though. Hey, I love this case. Especially the smaller form factor. It's pretty sweet. But yeah, that's nice build. I like the handles. I mean, that's pretty sweet. Okay, let me see this 4090 you're talking about. Wow. It actually can fit a 4090. Holy heck. That's pretty sweet. What kind of 4090 is that? That it can fit it just like that. That's pretty nice. Wow, he has a lot of fans. It can actually fit a CPU cooler, like a 240 mil. So that's a pretty big case that can fit a 240 mil, and it can fit the 4090. So that's a pretty big case. I like how nice and sleek it is on the back, where it doesn't have any craziness or fans or anything for cooling. But you know, it can get that cooling from, I guess you can reverse the fans of the radiator, so it can kind of pull well, I guess no, no, no. You would actually want to pull that out and make the heat go out. So there's no real fans except for the ones that are in the front to actually push against this guy. But this guy here is just sitting on the outside. So, it should actually be good and have pretty decent temperatures. Nice build. We just call it a Hackintosh. LOL. That's exactly what it looks like. It looks like a Hackintosh. Behold, the most powerful cheese grater yet with Thunderbolt. 13900K with Valkyrie AIO, an Acer Strix Z690, 64 gigs of DDR5, and then the Tomahawk RTX 4090, and a Silverstone SFXL 1000 watt. This is a $315 power supply, by the way. If anybody ever wanted to know how much this thing is, it's $315. It's super, 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 super expensive. It is it's a little scary how expensive it is. Yeah, it's right here. The price list. It's super expensive. And then I had the 850 watt, and that works pretty well for the 4090. I haven't had any problems with my 850 watt. I really haven't seen it get too high. But yeah, if you try to go for the SFXL, which is a little bit bigger than the Corsair 850 watt, the white, the platinum Corsair 850 watt white platinum. I can't spell platinum. This guy's pretty sweet too, and this is probably like the highest you can get before you can go to that 1000. But that 1000 is a little bit on the unnecessary side, but I get why people go for it, because if you had a choice between the two, I'd rather just go 1000 and save myself the headache, because it's only going to get hotter from here on. I mean, if we look at the specs from going from the 10 series to the 20 series to 30 series, it just gets hotter and hotter and hotter. So it's best to go for the SFXL nowadays, but at $300 does turn people off and have people running from the hills a little bit there. I swear I've seen this case design before. I just can't place it. Oh, well, maybe I will figure it out while eating my snack and apple. You get a trophy, sir. Slow clap. That is a round of applause. That's exactly the way I feel about that. That is awesome. That is so awesome. That's exactly what I was thinking of too. I was like, dude, this looks like a straight up Mac, bro. At this point, just go ahead and install what is it, Mac OS Ventura or whatever the most recent is, 13.2 or whatever. Just go ahead and install the most recent version, bro. This is a Mac. It's a very, very big Mac. You see what I did there? I just realized that that's pretty sweet. All right, Elden box. Okay, cool. All right, let's do this Elden box. Took apart my laptop and now the keyboard is not working. Why? Just why? Not working as in when I press a key down, it turns the volume up. Opens Armory Crate, changes gaming mode, etc. Did I do something wrong or do I need to replace the keyboard? Asus ROG Strix gaming laptop. Why? Why you open it? Why you open it? That will help us determine what's wrong. Wow. Okay, Anthony. What's wrong? But it sounds like you may have some. Sounds like you may not have the keyboard. What do they call it? It's like a strip. It's like a ribbon. The keyboard ribbon all the way into the motherboard. But it sounds like you may not have the keyboard ribbon all the way into the motherboard. It was fine before, correct? I don't understand. Why did you open it up like that? I mean, open it up to the point where you got to the keyboard, man. I mean, that's like a disassembly to get to the keyboard on a lot of these Asus ROG Strixes. You know, you turn them upside down and you open up the back. I mean, you have access to the RAM and the NVMe, but I mean, to get to the keyboard, you know what you got to do to get to the keyboard? You know, like, so I don't know about that one, man. I don't know what you were trying to do there, but yeah, it sounds like you may have done some really bad stuff. I don't want to say bricked it, even though I kind of said it under my breath, but you didn't brick it. It just may be an RMA. But I'm not sure if they will actually accept it, depending on, you know, their how they feel about it, because, you know, you open the case which caused the issue. So I wouldn't say that to them, but yeah, you know, you may end up having an RMA depending on the situation. Alrighty. Imagination anxious. Okay, cool. I'll do that. Give me 1 second here. All right. Oh, that's good. Imagination Anxious writes, my text cursor keeps showing up where you can't type. It shows up where it's not supposed to be. How do you fix this? Example, I will be scrolling Reddit and it would show up if I accidentally clicked on something where it has no effect if you click or type. I'm on Windows and don't know how to screenshot, lol. Sorry for the bad explanation. It's cool. I get what? Well, we get what you're saying. So, a lot of times this happens because the mouse is wireless and doesn't have a good signal. Okay, move the gigantic cursor. If you have a wireless mouse, try to plug it in wired and see if that fixes the issue. Fun fact, I actually ran into a problem with essentially with Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. What'll end up happening is when I was using my wireless keyboard and mouse, it would freeze. And when it would freeze while using the wireless keyboard and mouse, I couldn't move. Like I couldn't move the mouse and I couldn't move the keyboard until somebody killed me. And then it will respawn me and everything was fine. It was almost like it lost connectivity because you know the whenever you're playing Call of Duty and you're set to keyboard, if you switch to a controller, it messes up. And if you're on a controller and you try to use the keyboard, if you try to switch, it'll also mess up. So I think whenever it saw that it did not have a connectivity to the keyboard, it almost tried to switch me to a controller. And in doing so, it froze my screen. So be very careful about that. That whole controller keyboard thing can be a really big problem depending on what game you play. If you have a wireless mouse, try to plug it into wired and see if that fixes the issue. If it is a wired mouse, try to plug it into the front port to see if that fixes the issue. Now, if it's wired, just plug it into the front port, and that's kind of how you would handle that situation. You would kind of just move the mouse around depending on the circumstances. But typically when I run into this situation where it just starts randomly clicking stuff, or it you'll be scrolling and then all of a sudden it orders you a Happy Meal, that usually happens because the mouse itself is not hooked up directly and it's basically on Wi-Fi and it has a poor signal trying to get back to the wireless dongle. So that's what I would say for this. Imagination Anxious. Keep us posted. Group 3 done. Hooray. Group 4. Let's do this. 819. I think we may have to come back a little bit and grab a few more. But it's okay. It's okay. This is from Monster DJ. Oh, I got it. Monster DJ writes, sometimes on boot, PC doesn't see my M.2 boot drive and boots into BIOS, but when I close BIOS, works just fine. This issue only recently started happening after I upgraded my Ryzen 3700X to a 5950X, and this issue is completely random sometimes. It works on boot, sometimes it just takes me to the BIOS. Could this just be an issue I can fix with me receiving the M.2 boot drive? Also, could this issue pose a problem such as data corruption? It could. But the best way to work this is most motherboards that support the 5950X have two M.2 drive bays. Move it into the other one to see if that makes a difference. Yeah, so just move it into the other drive bay, see if that makes a difference. If it does, well, okay. Yeah, just move it, see if it makes a difference. Not detecting it. Well, okay. Let me read that one more time. He asked, this just be an issue I can fix with me reseating the M.2 boot drive. Also, could this issue pose a problem such as data corruption? It could, but It's highly unlikely, actually. It's highly unlikely. So the reason why it's highly unlikely is because if it doesn't see it, it's not doing anything to the drive. It just doesn't simply see it, you know. So it's not like it's trying to break the drive or read the drive. If it doesn't see the drive, it doesn't use the drive. So therefore, it doesn't actually hurt it per se. It's only just kind of annoying in this particular sense. But it could be that the M.2 drive itself is maybe going out or having some issues, which means the motherboard is having some issues. But the best way to find that out is just to go ahead and plug it into a different slot and see if that resolves the issue. Now, if it does resolve the issue, there is a possibility that the problem was it just wasn't reseated properly. So we do have to take that into consideration, but it's easier just to tell them to go ahead and plug it into a different slot and kind of just go from there. So we'll play that. But yes, if you were trying to figure out exactly what this issue is caused by, then you would want to go ahead and reseat it, see if that fixes it. If it doesn't fix it, then you want to go ahead and swap it over to the other M.2 drive, because most 5950X motherboards have 2 drive bays. So just move it over to another drive bay and see if that fixes the issue. So yeah, that's how I would handle this. So Monster DJ, go ahead and do that and let us know what happens. Oh, another Linux sucks. We already talked about this. Now I want to go look at something else. What does that do? Oh, I didn't know that's what that did. I'm so sorry. Well, that was the first one. What is this? A security. Oh, no. Ooh, X670E. Okay, we'll go with this. I need more. I need more. RIP Asus X670EI. Amazon like new warehouse deal. Don't do that. 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 Not this one. Not this board. Oh my God, this board is. I'll spill my drink. I hate this board so much. I love it and I hate it. Okay. All right. So here's the thing with this board. Okay. Let's maximize this so I can explain to you my hatred of this freaking board. All right. So all right. So first off, right? You see these two, okay, let me actually zoom in so you can see it. So there are these 2 USB ports. So basically this right here, this is a header. And basically it makes it so that the SATA ports are actually facing this way. So the SATA ports are facing this way, but the problem is this is an ITX motherboard. So whenever the SATA is facing outwards, you actually can't, it actually is hitting the actual power supply. So if you were trying to put the SATA actually in place, sometimes depending on the case, it won't even fit because the power supply usually sits right there on that other side. So you can't even use SATA sometimes whenever you have this hooked in, and there are no other SATA ports on it. However, this little docking bay thingy here is super sensitive. If you get anywhere near this guy here, it'll reboot the PC. So that's that. And this guy here it's kind of long and it's a little annoying, but it gives you a USB-C port and a USB 3 port. So you kind of have to, I like it, but I'm not crazy about it, especially if I basically kind of touch it. It's also magnetic at the bottom, magnetic, so you can actually attach it to your case just magnetically, which is pretty cool. But yeah, this right here, this little riser, you have to have it plugged in because this right here also changes the generation 4 of the actual motherboard. So like if you want it to be generation 5 or 4, you have to set it on this guy here. And you can change it in your settings or in your BIOS, but that's essentially what this guy does. And then when I first got it, it wouldn't even boot. So, but once you get past the booting problem, then it's okay. But it's a huge pain in the butt. I don't really recommend it. I don't like this motherboard, and I don't like the fact that you couldn't give me a couple of SATA ports, but instead you gave me this riser that I can barely use sometimes because of the simple fact that I can't get SATA to come out. So now you can't use SATA. You can only use NVMe, and it's a gigantic pain in the butt. But this guy, it's okay as long as you don't touch this button. As long as you don't touch this button, it's okay. But as soon as you touch this button, your computer immediately reboots. You can just brush it. You can just brush his hair and it will reboot your whole computer. So just be aware. It's not the greatest. And that's why a lot of people returned it. I can't believe I paid so much money for that stupid motherboard. But this motherboard also said that it supports bifurcation. It doesn't. Bifurcation, for those of you who are not aware, bifurcation allows you to turn one PCIe Gen 5 or Gen 4 into two Gen 3 or Gen 4, depending on which originating PCIe that you had. So basically you can have a riser that breaks out into, in this case, in most cases, 2 PCIe Gen 3 times 8 from a PCIe Gen 3 times 16 or 4. And essentially with that breakout, you can now actually have a graphics card plus another card, like for example a video capture device or a sound card, so you get that PCIe slot back so you can use it for something else. However, this guy does not support bifurcation in that way. Instead, when you try bifurcation, you can't use a Gen 3 graphics card or a Gen 4 graphics card or a Gen 5 graphics card. You can use a Gen 3, like you can use like a 1060 or a 1070, but you can't use anything stronger than that. So if you try like a 20 series or a 30 series or a 40 series, it won't work. So it does support bifurcation, but it is very limiting. It really only supports bifurcation in case you want to turn this into a server and you want to have several cards running off like M.2 NVMe and you want to have multiple slots. That's when it supports bifurcation. But outside of that, it's not great. It's not great. Don't buy it because of bifurcation, because there's just no point. It's not going to be what you want unless what you have is like a GTX 1060. So yeah, this board, I can talk about it for days. It is a huge pain in the butt. Ooh, and it had bitten pins. But this isn't all that bad because it's only the fan headers. And these aren't bad either. Well, okay, it's kind of bad, but it's not great. But ooh, yeah, it's a little it's a little iffy, bro. But at least you got the little hive and you got the riser. So I mean, you kind of have everything. So I mean, missing half the accessories, but did come with the 5.5-inch blank and some Corsair thermal paste. Yeah, what everybody else say? I hate this motherboard. But once you get it working, it is extremely good. You just have to install every single BIOS update known to mankind. Plus, you need to be happy that you will never run a SATA drive again, as it will push up against the power supply and also be content with the fact that if you brush against that hive and touch the what is it called? OC button, touch this button, I don't know what it's called, whatever. Touch the buttons on the hive, it will reboot the PC. LOL. Yeah, it's an interesting motherboard. I give them props for at least trying something different, kinda. But it's kind of a pain in the butt, man. I'm not crazy about it. If I can get another one, I would, but yeah, it's kind of a difficult one. It's not the best. It's not the best for sure. But I liked the idea. It's just that I didn't like the idea on an ITX build, because you need to at least have one SATA somewhere on here. I get there's not a whole lot of room to put it, but I would at least have one SATA here that you can actually utilize, because what happens when you plug this guy in, which basically this daughter board here that rises it up, and you still need to plug in a SATA for your SSD. Well, you can't do that. Like, there's no SATA here. Like, literally, there's no SATA. So I wish they would fix that, but whatever, because I'll be talking about it for 30 minutes. So we'll just leave it alone and move on. Alrighty. All right, let's go ahead and go to the next one here. Wide and wide. Wow. That is an incredibly wide case. I give you that. So this is from Do Age, and look at his build. I like this Corsair headset, HS80, I think is what it's called. Is that what it is? Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah, this is a Corsair HS80. It's these right here, but it's the white version. Well, no, it actually has a dock, so this actually is a little bit better than the one I was thinking about. Yeah, but it's still really, really dope. I like the idea of having a really, really long monitor. The only problem with that is it's one monitor, you know. So you gotta have to have everything kind of going on one monitor, which is kind of a pain. It would be better to have two, but then that would be kind of cumbersome. But the case is sick, dope, dope case, bro. That chassis looks like it's ready for war. Oh, that's still a pretty nice build though. I like with the whole white setup. It's really nice and really discreet. What does he have going on? He has a 12900 KS with the IQ H100i. Nice with a 3080 tile, the white version. That's pretty sick. That's pretty sick. A bunch of storage, one 10 terabyte HDD drive or hard disk drive. That's pretty sick. And then the Odyssey G9 Neo, the 5120 by 1440p one. And a Razer base station V2 Chrome. Oh, it is the Corsair HS80. Ah, I had it right. That's exactly what this is, the Corsair HS80. And then he has the Corsair K65 RGB Mini LED. And then the G502X. So yeah, dope build. I gotta say, I like it. I like it a lot. It's really nice. Congratulations. Did I say congratulations? Yes, I did. Okay, cool. Just making sure. Alrighty, so this is gonna be a repeat. So that means all the ones here are gonna be repeats coming up. So this is from C Capital. He said rear line across screen when viewing through infrared. Is it okay? And with this one here, he was showing me this, and we were like, man, it looks like a box cutter or something. But we've been talking back and forth here, and I said I don't think any of us could cure your paranoia on this one. So I think the best method would be to replace it and move on. It would be a pain, but the peace of mind is probably more valuable. But I was saying if it looks like more like a box cutter, and he said, "LOL, it's a brand new TV. I've had it for 2 days, but I've already solved this. It was a reflection from the infrared." What? LOL. Oh, gotcha. Well, that is good information. All right, cool. Whatever you say, sir. I didn't know that infrared can cast reflections. Okay. Okay. I'm guessing. I don't know. That's weird, man. Okay, whatever. I don't know. If I guess it was a reflection, I would just imagine that that cable that you're reflecting would move whenever the infrared was moving, but I could be wrong. Gotcha. Well, that's good information. Yeah, I had no idea. Well, I'm glad he was able to get that fixed though, even though we weren't able to assist. But I'm not sure how you can assist with something like that. It literally looks like a cut on your TV. Okay, and that was okay. Yeah, that was C Capital. So we're just going on to the next one here. All right. So high GPU temp and clock speeds at idle. Hello, I'm back again. Unfortunately, I thought I had solved my problem from my last post by reinstalling the drivers, but that was only a band-aid solution. I am really having high clock speeds and a high temp at idle. Says in GPU Z base clock should be at 1300, but my GPU idle at 1900. Oh yeah, I remember him. I said, well, do you have a link to your previous post? I don't recall seeing it, but to work the issue blindly, what happens if you take off the front panel? Excuse me, do temperatures decrease? Also, is the card overclocked? For example, did you make any changes to an MSI afterburner? And he did reply, and he said it did lower his temperatures. And I said, no problem at all. Why that's why we do this. He said, apologies in advance. I am oblivious when it comes to this stuff. I said, no problem at all. That's why we do this. So with this issue, have you tried to downclock it in MSI Afterburner? Be sure to run it as admin just to be on the safe side. You may need to look up a guide to see how to downclock that particular GPU. Crap, I forgot to update you on this. I did a clean boot and reformatted my storage and did a clean install of Windows, etc. And that seemed to fix the issue. Okay, well then you had something running in the background that was overclocking it, bro. Clock speed and tip. I did tweak with MSI Afterburner though before doing a full system reset, and the lowest it could go was 1600 from 900. I really don't know why reformatting my storage fixed the problem though, but thank you so much for taking your time to reply to this thread. No problem. Makes me think something was running in the background, but the world may never know. Never know. LOL. Oh, that's so nice. That's one of the cool things about doing this kind of stuff. Everybody is so nice and grateful. You know, nobody's cussing you out and calling your mama out her name over trying to fix their issue because no money has exchanged hands, so they don't feel like they've been gypped or anything. You're just kind of doing it for free. So that's a good thing about it. Like everybody's pretty pleasant. You don't have to deal with too many negative situations. Oh, of course, that will change eventually whenever I start doing like calls and stuff. But for right now, it's not too bad. Alrighty, this is from Mini Minute. Mini Minute was talking about, can my PC stuttering issue be caused by static shocks, or would static shocks just completely destroy parts? Now, this person here is having issues with static, or basically, let me make sure I say that correctly. Stuttering, not static. Having issues with stuttering, but they've already replaced the RAM, SSD, and CPU, which means that they only have the GPU and PSU left. Case and monitor, sure, but really GPU and PSU. And so what I said was, okay, so you're saying that with no internet connectivity, you still have this issue, but the games you play and things you did require internet like Valorant and Steam. What did you test? So I was originally thinking that you may have a network connectivity issue because it seemed like every game that you played had required internet. But he said he tried Arkham Origins and Arkham Origins offline as well as Steam offline, and he was able to get the stuttering to happen then too. So I said, well, you would then he asked me about, even if he did have a wireless issue, how would he fix it? Then I told him about power over Ethernet. But then I was saying, but back to the issue, it sounds like we may be looking at a GPU issue. So try this. Uninstall the GPU driver with DDU. Then upon computer booting back up, Windows will install the default driver. Then test Arkham Origins to see if the stuttering goes away. Your frame rate will suffer, but that's not the point of this test. Set your setting to low to see if the issue is gone. Oh, okay. I tried the Ethernet and it appears to not make a difference. As for the GPU, I can do that. I'll use a basic driver and see if the stuttering improves. Thanks. No problem, bro. Keep us posted. Keep us posted. Running a show here. Keep us posted running a show here. You gotta say that, man. Sometimes they be like, oh, yeah, I forgot to tell him, or, oh, I'm not gonna tell him because, I just fixed it. I'm just gonna leave it alone. But no, I need you to tell me to let me know everything is okay because we have a show to run, sir. I want to know exactly what happens. That way, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and I'll tell everybody. That way, if somebody else comes behind me and they're watching the content, they'll be able to figure out what the correct answer was. Okay. Oh, our RGB friend. It looks like they may have replied. So this guy here is having an issue with his RGBs, and basically whenever he reboots his motherboard, his RGBs on his memory does not come on, which obviously hurts his frame rate. So we were basically, we were laughing for like 30 minutes, and then we actually started troubleshooting his issue, and we were like, okay, well, go ahead and try to move it into different slots on the motherboard and see if that works, as well as try to update the BIOS. And if one actually does not cause the issue, then let us know. And then we were saying try individual DIMM slots. And he said, I upgraded the RAM on 32 gigs for all slots. I'll tell you the results on Sunday. And I said, okay. He said it didn't fix the problem, unfortunately. So he upgraded the RAM and it didn't fix the problem, which means that he's looking at a BIOS motherboard issue. Okay, so you upgraded the RAM to something with more MOAR RGBs, and the issue is still there, correct? It sounds like you may have an issue with the motherboard, as I would say to upgrade the BIOS, but outside of that, there is little that can be done. I would also check to see if the motherboard has any software or Windows software utilities. Windows software utilities. It could have a feature turn on that is making this happen, but it's highly unlikely. I don't even know why I'm saying it. If anybody said, what the hell are you talking about, I wouldn't defend it. I was just grasping at straws, because it's like, okay, well, let's think about this. If we're talking about like a software that you can run that basically shows you the status of the motherboard and things of that nature, it's not going to do anything when we're talking about RGBs on memory. You know, as long as the RGBs work. Now, I think he really has a problem. I think he has a short on his motherboard. Actually, you know what? Nah, I'm not gonna say that. That's stupid. I would also check to see if the motherboard has any Windows software utilities, but really, it sounds like you have a short on your motherboard. Yeah. So yeah, I think he has a short on his motherboard. And the reason why I say that is because whenever he was trying with one DIMM slot and he was plugging it into each individual slot, when he got to the third slot, it would not load, period. Like it wouldn't even boot. So it looks like his third slot may be malfunctioning, and because of that, it's causing issues with the other slots as well. So I think that in this particular case here, his motherboard just may straight up be shorted, and there's not a whole lot you can do in that particular situation. You can try to update the BIOS to see if it was a BIOS problem, but more than likely, he may straight up have a shortage issue for the actual DIMM slot not working, and that may be causing his RGB issue. He just manifests itself in a color issue because he only has like a certain amount of RAM. Obviously, he doesn't have all 4 DIMM sticks filled. So because of that, he can actually get around it. But I think that's what's happening with them. Okay, Mr. One Shot. I hope that helps. I don't really want to see the comments because they're just talking about colors. Okay. Here's my thing. I kind of like the wood look. I blame Noctua. I'll say it again. I blame Noctua because I did not like wood finish on anything. I hate wood finishes on houses. I hate wood finishes like whenever they have like older houses that have like wood as the actual paneling on the walls. I cannot stand it. I cannot stand anything with like this type of wood finish. I cannot stand it. Even though I like the espresso color, I don't like the wood finish. But the wood finish is starting to grow on me, and it's only because of Noctua. I 100% blame them for everything. 100% custom scrap wood home theater PC gaming rig. It's a big boy, but it is really pretty. I like how his graphics card is square. I think that's kind of cool. Or a rectangle. Okay, that was stupid because obviously a square is a rectangle. But a rectangle. Oh no, I'm sorry. A rectangle is a square, but a square is not a rectangle. So yeah, rectangle. GPU, and then he also has a 240mm radiator for the front. I like how his ventilation is set up. This is really sweet, man. I like this build. It's different for sure. That's like, I want nobody to copy me. I don't care. I want no one to copy me. That's how I feel about this particular situation. But what other pictures he has? Oh my goodness, yes, yes, yes. 240mm radiator in the front, and then he has he even made a little cutout for his SSD. That's like the cutest thing ever. This is literally, I feel like he also has it closed in the drawers above. That's the way I feel about it. Wow, that's a pretty nice size motherboard too, and he has a hard drive. Look at that. So it has a hard drive to the right, and then it has an SSD to the top. That's pretty clean. And then he has another drive bay on this side too for another drive, so in case he wants to set that up that way. Wow, that is really nice. Wow, this man is talented. Congratulations, sir. That's a pretty nice build. That's probably heavy. Oh my goodness, that thing ain't going nowhere. But it's really pretty though, man. Congratulations. Ron Swanson's kids grew up to be gamers. Nice. Can I not talk to this one? New comments cannot be posted and votes cannot be cast. Oh, it's archive thread. Okay, gotcha. Still, pretty dope build. Congratulations. Cobaniac. All right, let's go ahead and go to the next one here. All right. So he was saying he had a strange VGA issue, and he was basically saying when for example in Hollow Knight, the sound starts as soon as the game menu loads and changes as soon as I change the resolution in the game options. Each time I set the resolution, it sounds different. When the sound is lower, it sounds similar to a fan rubbing against its casing, but most of the time it sounds like a clear electric tone. I said it was coil whine because that's exactly what it is. Well, more than likely. And then I have a 6900 XT that does the exact same thing. Not a whole lot you can do here. Thanks a lot for your quick answer. Do you know if it's actually dangerous or just annoying? Just annoying. Not really all that dangerous. Yeah, it's just annoying. It happens. It's not that big a deal. It's just coil whine. And it does get pretty annoying though, because you can kind of hear it, especially like a lot of times, like for me personally, I like to leave one of my cases open. Like some of my cases are open instead of actually fully closed. And that's when you really hear that coil whine. And it can become kind of a pain. So you kind of have to get used to it, or close the case, which is also a possibility. But yeah, my 6900 XT, it coil whines all the time. You start off a game, it's almost like it's an old man. You start up a game and be like, oh, do we have to? I'd be like, yes, we have to. And then it goes, eh. Yeah, it's really annoying. But I get it, bro. It's just cool wine though. Swiggity swooty boo. Swiggity swooty boy. Okay. PC freezing randomly, but sound still works. Recently, my PC started freezing randomly for no reason, even when using programs that shouldn't have put the PC under stress, like Microsoft Edge. First, the application stopped responding to mouse clicks, and the display vanishes and reads no display and requires a restart. I've tried reinstalling drivers and everything, but the issue still persists. Any way to fix this? Sounds like graphics. Well, you have a lot of options here and a bunch of toys to play with. When your computer freezes, does it blue screen on you? If it does, then you can read the errors that it gives you by going to Event Viewer System and check the time it crashed to see if there are any critical errors. If it doesn't crash you, then you may have faulty memory or GPU. I would run a test on the memory to make sure everything is good as well as a GPU, but it sounds like a memory issue. Run mem test and let us know your results. Thanks. Yo, I've run mem tests. Both the Windows test and the mem test showed no errors. I also checked QVL, which is the vendor list, for my motherboard, and it should be compatible with the RAM, so I'm really not sure what the issue is, especially since it only crashes/freezes when I'm either on Discord or Microsoft Edge, and it never blue screens. The app just slowly stopped responding, one by one, and the screen turns black while the PC still runs. Okay, prove it. Run Internet Edge in incognito mode while doing everything you normally do and see if it freezes. So we want to do this because we think that the issue may be an extension. Because you're saying you have the issue in Internet Explorer and you have the issue in Discord. But if Discord is running from the actual browser instead of the application itself, it's a possibility that you may just straight up have an extension that's getting in the way. And so he asked me, what is this test for exactly? Also not sure if it's relevant, but I recently had some coil whine-ish buzzing from around the motherboard region, which only occurs when I play games. Can this also be related to the issue? So basically what we were doing here is we were treating it as if it was two different issues. He replied, but when he replied saying, what does this test for exactly? It forced me to reply before I got to the stream. So let me refresh this here because I did reply back to him though. There? I thought I did. Yeah. Okay, yeah, here it is. Okay. So he says, what is this test for exactly? I said, it lets us know if your issue is caused by any browser extensions. We are working it as if your two issues are not related at all. It may prove to be easier that way, but we will soon find out. Let me know what happens. I usually wait to my next live stream to go over these, but I didn't want you to get the wrong idea, like I'm telling you something wrong. Yeah. So with this one here, okay. So he has a buzzing, right? A coilish whining buzzing happening whenever he's playing video games, but he also has this this freeze that's happening, and we're treating it as it's two different things because they may not even be related at all, because generally coil whine doesn't necessarily mean something is wrong. So because of that, he was saying this lag and stuttering that he's having in games, and then he also is saying, oh no, but even when I'm not in games, it's also doing this freezing type thing. It may be better to go ahead and just separate those two as two totally different issues and just work the edge issue by itself and see what happens whenever we run into incognito mode, just to make sure no browser extensions are causing the problem. Because if they're not, then we may have to go back to GPU memory or GPU in general and look to maybe trying out a different GPU if he has one, kind of situation, because everything after this is going to be bad. It's going to be, something hardware related, try this, try that kind of situation. So that's the reason why we're kind of limiting our options here, or eliminating our options, because we know it happens in Internet Edge. So let's go ahead and try incognito mode to see if the extensions are causing a problem. But yeah, that's what happened with him, Swiggity Swooty Boy. So we'll keep tabs on them and see exactly what happens here. All right, so we're already in the final group. We'll probably grab a few more here. Is this tech support? No, it's not. It is not. Oh, I'll take that. Bum 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 bum. Push unknown combo. Yeah, I'll take that. My phone has been playing this music. I'll take that too. It's gonna be like the Ring or whatever, where you have where it'd be like 3 days. It'd be like, that's some weird music to be saying 3 days like 8 times in a row. Ooh, what the heck is this? Kruger Rebuild RTX 3080 G Skill DDR 3200 832s or 32 times 8, so 32 gigs, and a 3070X with 10 terabytes. And it's at an angle because it can be. Oh my god, why? It's like they put it on an exercise bike. That's exactly what an exercise bike is, right next to it. Oh man, that is wow. Okay. That's a thing, I guess. It's huge. And he has 2 graphics cards? That's kind of interesting. Oh no, this is just like an NVMe slot. But it's just on the PCIe header. Wow, that is insane. I like the AX1200i though. That's pretty sick. Wow, bro. Jesus Christ. Um Looks like your case is trying to work out on the treadmill. On a treadmill. LOL. Yeah, that's that's a different one. I've seen this case before though, but I've never seen anybody build it because it was like 300 some dollars. But it's pretty sweet though. What's his full build? MSI Creator motherboard outperforms Asus ROG Zenith. Okay, whatever. 32 by 8. What in the doggone? I get it. It confused me too. I think he was just really trying to say 32 gigs, but he has 4 of 8, so 32. I think that's what he was trying to say, but it just came out wrong. But yeah, this Cougar chassis, I've seen this like back when Fries was a thing. I used to see this Cougar chassis, but I never thought of actually building in it because it was just too big. Good lord, it's huge. But it is cool. I mean, hey, and it's balancing on a 1200i, so I mean, that's something, I guess. All right, let's go ahead and go to the next one here. Okay, cool. So this was a Sony Bravia. We've been having a couple of L's on these LCD TVs because, telling them to RMA, but okay, to be fair, that infrared one nobody could have fixed. Nobody would have known what that is because nobody's put a freaking infrared on a TV. But this one here, Venom Soaker, he said he had an old Sony Bravia LCD TV that's having an issue, and I want to know if it's time to junk it or if it can be fixed somehow. Essentially, it works great for about 15 minutes max. Then the screen lights up in green pixel, the remote stops connecting, and then it shuts down. Unplugging is the only way to get it to turn off at that point. The power button on the remote and TV stop doing anything. It works fine after unplugging and replugging back in, but only for another 10 to 15 minutes. This repeats indefinitely. Okay. I said, well, with this one here, see if there's a firmware update for either the Bravia or see if there's a firmware update for the Bravia by going to the homepage and checking for updates provided on Wi-Fi. Outside of that, there are no updates. You can try a factory reset to see if that makes a difference. Also, make sure your television is plugged directly into the wall. Yeah, it's too old to be hooked to the Wi-Fi anyway. I factory reset and changed out the HDMI just a minute ago, and I'll see what happens when I turn it back on. Great. Keep us posted. Okay, yeah, just keep us posted on that. There's not a whole lot we can do outside of a factory reset. I mean, yeah, trying out the HDMI cable, but the HDMI doesn't have anything to do with the device powering off after 15 minutes. So the only thing that would actually do that is a reset. So just kind of do a factory reset and see if that makes a difference here, because if it's powering off after 15 minutes, it sounds like the power's getting ready to go out. But 15 minutes exactly is kind of specific for it to be that. So I just think that it may be just time to just do a factory reset and seeing if that resolves it. So that's what I would handle. That's what I would do in this particular situation. But I guess we'll find out very, very soon. So Venom Soaker, keep us posted, bro. I like that Group 6 is purple. That's pretty nice. All right, this is from Scrollix. Scrollix was having an issue with an old SSD, and okay. Is there a TLDR? I am looking for some insight into this scenario I have put myself into. here is some context. Without even thinking about it, I took my old SSD that has my old operating system and put it into my new PC. I started the PC and used the SSD. Okay, so this person here, I remember now. He has an SSD, but he has an SSD from his previous PC that he moved into his new PC, and his new PC installed all the drivers onto his SSD, and now he's using the same SSD, but he's worried. And then I said, alrighty, so for this one here, I gotta be honest with you, bro. I almost never wipe my SSDs when migrating between builds unless I detect slowness or have a feeling my old drive may be affected by malware. But if everything is running fine, then I would suggest just running Malwarebytes on your root directory and calling it a day. And he said, thanks. So yeah, that's what you would do on this one here. So like if you can like unhook your SSD and move it to another computer. I don't care if it was on AMD or Intel. It used to not be this way. It used to be once you move from AMD to Intel, it can be a problem and it may not boot properly. But nowadays, you can move from AMD to Intel to whatever, and it should still run and install all the correct drivers and actually run and install the drivers for the motherboard, and everything should be fine. So generally, it should be okay just moving it and migrating it between computers. So it's rare that I ever have to wipe it because of that. Like really rare nowadays. But it used to be more prevalent back in the day. Back in the gap when I was young. I'm not a kid anymore. This is from Aromatic Ad 2497. Built for AI research inspired by miners. You know what's the funny thing? When these miner builds here, like whenever you had 6 slots on these guys, this cage used to cost as much as a graphics card, so I never saw myself actually buying them. Like for example, this cage right here probably is about $120 to $140. Back then, you could probably get a used use 1060 6 gig, and it'll be around that price point, or a 480 6 gig, or is it, yeah, 486 gig, right? RTX, oh no, I'm sorry, it'll be a RX 584 gig. Yeah, RX 584 gig says it right there. So yeah, with those guys, I would go with like a 4 gig or a 6 gig card, and you know, you only have to pay $250 if you can get them cheap or find them. And yeah, and then you'd have, oh my god, he has double power supplies, both huge. Yeah, with the riser cables, yeah, that's pretty sweet. Well, okay, it's not sweet. It's kind of it's inspired by miners, but I never ran these kind of builds. I just kind of put them on the table because it was cheaper. But yeah, these are also decent builds. I'll show you guys the one I still have left that's pretty sweet. It's like all white and everything, but yeah, looks good. Yeah, it's a nice little miner build. Nice build. Could probably run Minecraft on that. Yeah. I mean, those cards there, those look like some really high-end cards, though. Those look like 3080, 3090 type stuff. But still pretty sweet. Alrighty, let's go ahead and go to this last one here. Well, the last one in group 6. Mayday, GPU power limit increase. Let me see. Mayday, GPU power limit increase. So I was gaming on my second machine, a laptop. I was plugged into the wall. Unfortunately, the AC adapter was under some pillows and got really hot. Also smelled like something might have burnt in the adapter block. Now the GPU is power limit throttling itself on battery power and charger power. Yeah, I said, so with this one here, if the laptop nerves the GPU when not plugged in, you can't really do much unless you replace the power supply. But I don't really see how an overheated AC adapter would kill a GPU. So I think you're fine, but you will know more when the new AC adapter comes in. And he said, I figured as much. I've never actually played games on the battery power on this laptop, so the throttling on battery may actually be intended behavior. It just spooked me. I didn't know if maybe something in the adapter just broke and sent too much power to the GPU, you know. The adapter I ordered is supposed to be an original HP part, brand new apparently, and arrives Thursday. The consensus across the subs I've posted on seems to be just a broken adapter. Thanks for your reply. Yeah, to be fair, we started typing for you to unplug the power and try battery before we realized the Asus GP or the Asus laptop nerfs the battery performance. So you most definitely are not alone. LOL. I even forgot about it. I had to remember, while I was writing, I was like, man, like I'm pretty sure it actually nerfs the GPU. So like a lot of laptops without their AC adapter will straight up nerf the GPU. Because they're like, oh, what do you need what do you need this power for? Because if not, it only lasts for like an hour and a half or something. So you want to get that whole 5 to 6 hours, so it'll just straight up nerf the GPU. Group 7, let's do it. Okay, so we'll do group 7, and we'll probably call it a little early, a little early. Resin, UV glass panel. I haven't done a 3D issue, and because I don't have a 3D device, but I kind of want to work it just so I can see what it is. Oh no, I already have it. Okay, let's see. Grab this one. All right, gotta have 5 in a group. That's the rule. We gotta have 5. Okay, so weird files are added to my user file. Weird files keep popping up in my main user file, which I can't seem to remove. Every time I move them, they just reappear. Also, all of them seem to be connected to Anaconda, a spider environment for Python. Can you upload a picture? Sounds like a script is running in the background and it's set to log. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like you have a script that's running in the background and it's set to log to a location, and the location that it's logging to just happens to be your desktop. So that every time you delete it, if the script is still running in the background, it just creates it again. So I think that's what's happening here, but that's what it sounds like. It literally just sounds like you have a script running. That's the literal definition. Like whenever you run like SSH or telnets or secure CRTs and stuff like that, it does the exact same thing. Like as soon as you turn on the program, it'll automatically start writing to a directory if you give it the ability to. So that's the first thing I think of when I think of something like this. I think you should have a script running in the background that he may have created and may not have realized it, or it may be some type of malware or something like that in the background as well. So keep his head up. Oh yeah, I should probably say that. Also may want to install Malwarebytes and scan the C drive just in case. Gotta let him know, just in case he has a malware issue. Alrighty, Embargo. I like your name though. That's pretty sweet. Okay, this is from NCC7905. Pushed unknown combo of keys on the left side of the HP laptop keyboard. Left alt key either disabled or flipped with right alt key. I use a non-American keyboard and have typed left alt 2 to get the @ character. However, I pushed, I don't know what, and now I have to type control left alt 2 for the same result. I don't know how to undo it. Additionally, hitting right alt 2 gets @ now. I'm not sure if that was the case before. I don't think so, and thus I'm assuming that maybe I switched the left and right alt key somehow. I've already tried control left alt blah 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 blah. Already tried a keyboard smash out of desperation. Nothing works. Okay. Well, and is it still there? No, it's not. Okay, well, oh, what is it called? Start. Oh well, in start. Let me scroll down some so I can see it. In start, go to or type in keyboard, then go to edit language of keyboard, and you want to what's it called? The dog barked and it messed up my train of thought. And alternate between the language it was originally set at and back to English to see if that makes a difference. If it doesn't, try unplugging it, then plugging it into a front port on the motherboard. Yeah, so essentially, I forgot the name of the word, but it'll come to me here in a second. But whenever you have an issue like that and it looks like some button presses may have happened, you can fix that. Usually, you can fix that by changing the language to whatever language you originally had it at and then change it back to English. And that should reset the settings that you had for the keyboard in English, hopefully. But, you know, it really kind of just depends on what was being pressed. But I'm not exactly sure just from looking at it. So the best way to go about it is to go ahead and try to change the language back to whatever he had it changed to, and then change back to English to see if that fixes it. If not, go ahead and unplug it and plug it into a different slot and see if any of those make any changes to his keyboard. Hopefully that does something, but I'm not 100% sure. We'll have to wait to see what he says and kind of just go from there. This is from unoriginal. Oh, unoriginal name. Wow. Wow. Oh my goodness. Wow. I feel like I was like trying to sound it out like it was a spelling bee. This is from unoriginal name, and they write, my phone has been playing this music recently. It sounds like I'd hear it waiting for a FPS game to load in a multiplayer match. It will play for a random but short amount of time. I don't know what I did, but it is really annoying. I already had it happen 3 times tonight. It's really annoying. Is there a way to stop the music from happening? Yes. Wow, I don't know where that yes came from, but yes. Essentially, when you hear the music, go to your applications to see what's running. What is it? A swipe up, and what is it on the? Hold on. I think it's a swipe down on. Maybe no, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. I don't know what it is. I know what it is. Go to your application to see what's running. This is usually a swipe up on the iPhone and a click to the applications button in the bottom right on the Android. But yeah, so there should be a little button that allows you to see all the applications that are currently running on the Android. Okay, so yeah, that's what I would do for this. Essentially, when you hear the music, go to your application to see what's running. This is usually a swipe up on the iPhone and a click to the applications button in the bottom right of the Android. So yeah, you have to see exactly what application is trying to play that music, because once you figure out the application, then you can just stop it. So that's all you would do in that particular situation. It's usually some type of an application. Now, if there is no application, then it's possibly there may just be some type of an update or an alert or an alarm that is set up that you would need to undo. But we can get to that once he does this part. Alrighty, unoriginal anime, keep us posted. Okay, this is an interesting one because I haven't worked a 3D printer issue because I don't have one. But I thought about getting one just so I can troubleshoot it as well, but I'm pretty raw on this, so bear with me. This is from Alamar Zandel, and they write, my 3D has resin hardened on the UV glass panel. Is it beyond hope? And if not, what can I use to best get it off without more damage? And this is in hardware. I accidentally ran it a few times before I realized that there was a puncture on the reservoir, and my initial attempts to remove it caused a few scratches on the glass. Is this something that can be easily salvaged or repaired? And what could be a safe tool to get resin off with it's pretty stuck and a credit card didn't work? Well, hardened plastic on glass? How to get resin off of glass on 3D printer. Yeah, not YouTube though, but okay, well, okay. So basically you're saying you do the exact same thing you do with a copy link. Essentially saying you do the exact same thing that you would do with a stuck thermal paste CPU onto a CPU cooler. You essentially do the same thing you do with a CPU that is stuck to its cooler. You heat it up to see you heat it up. I do see a video on it, but on it, though I should say it looks like it could make a mess, but you don't have many options here, so it's worth a look. Jesus, I hate being, come on, man. Good Lord. Okay.
Build.
I'm sorry, y'all are
With the Kroger Plus card, save
commercials and everything. Okay, share. Share. Copy. And back here. Okay, just making sure the game audio isn't going. Okay. There we go. Cool. So yeah, see what that happens with that. I'm not sure how much plastic he has on the glass screen and how bad it is, but yeah, there's the only thing I can really think of is heating it up. Same way you would do for a CPU on a cooler, is just heating it up. Just from looking at what that picture looks like on the resin just being on that glass screen. So that's how I would handle that situation, but we'll see what happens. Keep us posted, Alamar. I would like to have a 3D printer issue under my belt. That would be pretty sweet. All right, so this is from Alexa Shepherd. You can see it, so I guess it's not so bad that I say it. Alexa writes, Chrome loads up Twitter. That was weird. Oh, I said the A word. Okay. I was like, what was that sound? I'm so sorry. Pretend I didn't say that. Miss Shepherd. We'll say Miss Shepherd. Miss Shepherd says, Chrome loads up Twitter and websites beside YouTube and Google very slowly. Okay. I have noticed that if I put my laptop to sleep for a long time, when I turn it on again, Chrome cannot load up Google and YouTube very fast. On the other hand, other websites such as Reddit or Twitter won't be able to load up. So I have to restart my laptop in order for it to function like it used to. Here are some descriptions. RAM. Here are some descriptions. It's a Dell i3, i5 5200. What is causing it and how can I fix it? RAM. Fixed by more RAM. So you may need to upgrade the RAM as it appears. You may need RAM fixed by more RAM. So you may need to upgrade the RAM for this one if you want the issue to go away, or you can prevent the PC from sleeping in the first place. But the memory upgrade will most likely be the answer to your question. 8 gigs of RAM. I mean, 8 gigs of RAM and you leave it on, it's, your issue is says what is causing it and then how can I fix it. To answer your question, yes, RAM seems to be the cause of this, and the way that you fix it by upgrading the RAM. So that's the only reason why I say that. Otherwise, I would try to give you other options or tell you how to get to the battery so you can turn off the sleep settings. But I think you may want them. I think you just want to know what the fix is, and the fix is to upgrade the RAM. Okay. Alrighty, so we'll stop a little early here. We're at group 7, but we've run through everything here, and we'll pick back up and do a long one on Wednesday. It's been a long day, you guys, and plus I got a little bit of work to do. So we'll go ahead and stop a little bit early here, and we'll pick back up on tomorrow. So with that being said here, thank you guys so much for watching. And if you like this video, go ahead and like button. If you really like it, go ahead and subscribe. I love you, by the way. Take care, all the best, and bye.